Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm back with another interesting topic, Subledger GL transfer journal entry summarization option. So whenever you set up a ledger, you have an option to set up different GL's transfer summarization option per application, whether it be payables or receivables or fixed assets. So whether you want to summarize the journals or group the journals or you do not want to summarize. So there are five options which are available. No summarization, summarize by GL date, group by GL date, group by GL period, summarize by GL period. Now let me show each of these options. So what I'll do is I'll take payables as a example, payables application as an example, and I try to create say two invoices and two payments, and then I'll show how the system transfers those entries from Subledger into GL with all these options. So first of all, let me show you where you actually set up these options. So I'm under Gen Ledger Supervisor Reliance INR. Reliance INR is my ledger. Let me get into setup, financials, accounting setup manager, accounting setups, and search for my ledger. Reliance INR is my ledger. This is my ledger. So let's focus only on the primary ledger. This ledger also has some of the second ledgers as well, but let's focus only on the primary ledger. So there is something called Subledger accounting options. Click on update, and then you have different applications. So let's just focus on the application payables, and then click on update accounting options. And here you have different options. No summarization, group by GL date, group by GL period, summarize by GL period, and summarize by GL date. So let me start with the first option, no summarization. Let me set the option as no summarization. Now let's start. So the first option is no summarization. So when you go with the no summarization, one GL batch with multiple journal headers are gets created. So one per invoice or payment. So I'll try to create say two different invoices and two different payments with the same GL date. So when you run your create accounting and transfer to GL, even though those two invoices or those two payments might have the same account code combinations and the same GL date, but when you transfer to GL, system will create one journal batch but separate journal per invoice or per payment. Now let's see how it happens. So this is my first scenario, no summarization. Let me create two invoices and two payments. So I'll use these accounts. Let me navigate to my payables responsibility, invoices, entry, invoices. Now I'll quickly create invoices at the payments, and I'll not get into the details of the significance of each and every field. If you are not sure of how to create an AP invoice, check out the description section of my current video wherein have mentioned the URL of my other video where I'd explained how to create an invoice and make a payment in detail. So let me quickly go through the entering of the invoice. I'll just say ARV1 amount, say 15,000. I'm creating two invoices, and in each invoice I'll use two different accounts. So for 15,000, for $1,000 it's a salaries account, and maybe $14,000 under say this is my interest expense. So this is my first invoice. The GL date is 12th of June. So even though you enter your GL date at a header level, line level, or that, and at the distribution level, what's being considered by create accounting is the GL date which is entered at the distribution level. You might have entered a different GL date at the header or lines, but what is being considered by create accounting is the GL date entered at the distribution level. So let me try to create one more invoice. Here we say to 20,000 rupees, and again use two different accounts. Maybe just give maybe say a breakup of 4,000 for salary account and say 16,000 for interest expense account. Okay, now let me try to validate both invoices. This is my first invoice. Actions validate and validate the second invoice as well. So now I have completed creating of the two invoices. Now let me make a payment as well, so that there will be two invoices and two payments. Okay, payment is done for the first one. Let me create the payment for the second one. Okay, now I've created two invoices, two payments. Now let me run the create accounting and let's see how the entries will be generated and pushed to GL. So now our current GL transfer summarization option is set as no summarization. So let me run the create accounting, close this window, view a request, submit new request and run create accounting. Select the ledger as Reliance INR ledger and the end date is 12th of June 2021. I just want to run the report. It doesn't matter, detail or summary. Transfer to GL as yes, post in GL. I mean, that's fine. Whether you can post or do not post, that's fine. Transfer to GL is important. I'm running in again final mode. Only once you run in final mode, the entries will be pushed to GL. If you run in your draft mode, the entries will not be pushed to GL. So this create accounting program, once it's completed, it will trigger the journal imports and you'll have two journal import, one for my primary ledger and another for the second ledger. Again, I'll ignore the journals in the second ledger. My current focus would be only on the primary ledger. It should create one batch, but with four different journals because I have two invoices and two payments, and I did not select any summarization. Okay, this is my journal batch. So let me navigate to journal ledger supervisor, journals, oops, enter search for my batch. Still not. Yeah, see, I have one batch. The batch name is same, but I have four different journals. So the first journal, if I search for the first journal, it's the journal for the first invoice ARB1. You have the your charge account debit, two charge account debit and credit your liability account. And you can also see in the journal header as there is one invoice per as there is one journal per invoice, you can see the invoice number is also populated in the journal description. Similarly, check for the second journal, it should be the second invoice. So it will be pretty much like one journal per invoice or per payment. Similarly, this is for the first payment. You can see the payment number is populated here. So it's totally in detail. Generally, nobody will be going for this no summarization option because it's going to blast your GL module with hundreds and hundreds of journals. So better go for the other options. So that's the first one. And second option is summarize by GL. So let me change the option and then I'll come back and explain. Summarize by GL date. Summarize by GL date. Apply. Let me explain this. In the case of summarized by GL date, it indicates that all the subledger entries lines with the same GL date, journal category, entered currency, and balance type are summarized into a single journal entry. Accounting lines with the same account code combination are summarized, and the GL effective date is equal to the subledger GL date. So for all the journal lines with the same GL date, journal category, and currency, entered currency are summarized into a single journal entry. So again, I'll try to create two different invoices with the same GL date and with the same account code combination both the invoices, and let's see how system creates the entries and transfers to GL. It should actually summarize by the GL date. So basically, even though you have two different invoices, it should actually sum up and create one journal per invoice, one journal per payment. Let's see. Again, let me try to create quickly two invoices and two payments. Create quickly two invoices. Let's say ARV3. Oops. We'll just say ARV5, 5,000. Salaries account. I'll split this between again salaries account and interest account. Maybe just say 500 rupees under salaries and 4,500 under. Oh, sorry, it's 50,000, right? Okay. Okay. Let me validate this. Okay, and let me try to create again one more invoice. ARV6, and then maybe let me say 30,000. Again, I'll use two different accounts. Maybe 4,000 and then 26,000. Let me validate this. Okay, now let me try to make the payment for the two invoices. So first one and second one separately. Payment done for the first one. Let me do the payment for the second one as well. Okay, payment also done for the second one. Now we have two invoices, two payments. And now let's see how create accounting is going to push these entries to journal ledger. We are under summarize by GL date. While it's running, let me get into GL. Okay, so this is the batch for my primary ledger. Let's wait for the journal input for the second ledger also to be completed. Yeah, search for this batch. Yeah, so as I said, it's summarized by GL date. So for invoices you have one journal, for payments you have another journal. So for invoices you have one journal, and for payments you have another journal. So for as far as the invoices are concerned, instead of creating two different journals, it has actually grouped them as one journal. It has summarized those invoices into one journal. So you have these are the two lines for the ARB invoice 5, and these are the two lines for ARB invoice 6. But as far as the liability account is concerned, it has just summed up for all the two invoices. And if you and the GL effective date is equal to subledger GL date. In the subledger, whatever the GL date, whatever is entered, that is actually considered as the GL effective date for the journal. And if you look for the payments, you have one journal entry for both the payments. Okay, that's the summarized by GL date. Now let's look into the third option, group by GL date. So one general batch, but multiple general headers will be created, one per GL effective date with the detailed lines. So look at option 3. Let me try to create them group by GL date. Let me try to create again two invoices, one per GL effective date, right? Maybe let me try to group by GL date. Okay, let me try to create two invoices. Okay, before I do that, I need to change the option under my ledger, group by GL date. One general batch, multiple general headers per GL effective date. It's grouping by GL date. Again, let me try to create two invoices and two payments. Let's say ARB 10,000. Again, let me use salaries account and interest expense account. Maybe 1,500 for salaries and remaining 8,500 for interest expense. Validate this invoice. And then make the payment. Now we try to create the second invoice as well. ARB 11,000. Again, use the same two accounts, salaries account and expense account. Let me say $2,000. Sorry, 2,000 rupees for salaries and remaining 11,000 for interest expense. Okay, sorry, I think I should say 9,000 because 11,000 is my invoice total. Validate and then create payment. Okay, now creation of the two invoices, two payments is done. Now let me run the create accounting and let's check how system has created the accounting entries and transfer to GL as far as group by GL date is concerned. Okay, again while it's running, let me get into GL to check the journal entry. Okay, view requests, find, wait for the journal imports to be completed. This is the journal batch. Wait for the journal import of the second ledger also to be completed. Otherwise, when you query, it will not retrieve the entry for the first primary ledger as well. Okay, copy. Okay. We are under group by GL date. So it has grouped the journals per GL effective date. So we have created two invoices with the same GL effective date and two payments with the same GL effective date. But as far as the entries are concerned, here you can see it's in detail. It is not summarized, even though it has grouped under one journal, but as it is in detail. So you have entries for ARB10. This is ARB10, and this is liability account for ARB10, and this is the charge account for ARB11, and this is the liability account for the ARB11. So if you have observed in the case of summarized by GL date, your liability account is actually summed up, but here you can see the liability account is in detail. It is not summarized. Okay, so again, even in the case of payment, if you observe here, in the case of summarized by GL date, your liability account and cash account got summarized for two different, when the payment was made for two different events. But here, even though it's the same account code combination and the payment is also made on the same day, it is grouped under one journal, but it is not summarized because it's just grouping, not summarized. So that is the third option. Now the fourth option is group by GL period. So one journal batch, one journal header per journal category with the detail and with the GL effective date as the last day of the fiscal month. So now with regard to option 4, what I'll do is I'll again try to create two different invoices with two different days so that you better appreciate this option, group by GL period. So even though you have invoices with two different invoices with different GL effective date also, how system is going to group them as one journal, that's what we will check now. Okay, so let me update the GL summarization option under journal. So under ledger setup, sorry, group by GL period. Group by GL period. Okay, let me apply this. Again, let me try to create again two different invoices and two different payments. So first invoice I'm going to create with the GL date of 11th of or maybe say 12th of June, and the second one would be with 13th of June. So as I mentioned, what matters is the GL date at the distribution level, not at the header level or the line level. So I'll just ignore whatever the GL date which is populated at the header or line. Let's say 12,000. Let's focus on the GL date at the line level. Sorry, distribution level. So again, I'll use salary account and expense account. Salary account, I'll just say 2000. Let me use 12th of June, two different dates, right? And then 10,000. Okay, so sorry, let me change this. And also make a payment of this particular invoice with the date of 12th of June. And the next one will be with 13th of June. Let me change the date to 12th of June. Now let me try to create second invoice with 13th of June. Again, use salary and interest expense account. So maybe 3,000, and then 10,000. Now making a payment as the validation of the invoice is completed. Now making a payment. So payment will be with 30th of June. Okay, now creation of the two invoices, two payments is done. Now let me run the create account. Now we are under group by GL period option. I mean, again, the parameter for the create accounting period, create accounting program doesn't matter. I'm just selecting default as a detail, but it doesn't matter whether it's no detail or detail or summary. I'm used to running this program in detail mode, and hence I'm just changing it to detail. I mean, the importance of putting the report parameter as the detail is like if there are any kind of errors, you can check the output of the create accounting and find out what's going wrong. That's all, but it should not impact the transfer process. So here we have two journals, one with effective date of 12th of June, and the second one is with 13th of June. And the option is group by GL date. So ideally, it should create one journal header, one journal batch per journal category. So one per invoice, one per payment. Even though we have two different dates, one is for 12th of June and 13th of June, one journal will be created, and the journal will not have the important thing is the journal will not have the GL effective date of 12th or 13th, but journal will have the last fiscal day of the month. So we are under June period, so the last fiscal date of my June period is 30th of June. So the journal will have the GL effective date of 30th of June. I think it got stuck. Let me pause my video and then again restart my browser. Okay, the journal input is completed. Let me copy the batch name. So we are under group by GL period. Let me search for this batch. So as I mentioned, one journal per invoices, one journal per payments. And if I open the journal, here as I mentioned, it is grouped by GL period. It has grouped all those two invoices into one journal, but the GL effective date, even though the GL effective date of my two of the invoices, one is 12th of June and another one is 13th of June, the final GL effective date in the GL journal will be the last fiscal day of the month, which is 30th of June. And as far as the lines are concerned, you have the detail lines. It has grouped, but it has not summarized. So these are the lines for ARV 12, and these are the lines for ARV 13. Similarly, let us check the same thing for payments. Again, 30th of June, again detail lines, your liability account debit and your bank account credit. Okay. Now let's check the last GL transfer option, which is summarized by GL period. Let me change this option, summarized by GL period. What system will do in the case of summarized by GL period, and what will be the difference between group by GL period and summarized by GL period, we'll check. So in the case of summarized by GL period, all the subledger entry with the same GL period, journal category, account, entered currency, and balance types are summarized into a single subledger journal entry. The GL effective date defaults to the again last date of the accounting period, so which is similar to your GL group by GL period. Even in the case of summarized by GL period, the GL effective date would be default to the last date of the accounting period. But as far as the journal is concerned, let's see how it shows. So in the case of group by GL period, it has actually shown all the detailed lines, but in the case of summarized by GL period, it should summarize, especially for the liabilities and cash accounts. So again, let me get into payables, create two invoices, two payments. And again, even this time, let me try to create it with probably two different dates. One is for 12th and other one is for 13th. Because this will be my first invoice. Invoice date doesn't matter. So let me just say ARV, say 20,000. Let's again use the same accounts, salaries and interest expense. Okay, 5,000. Here I'll use 12th of June 2021. This is my first invoice, so I'll use this 12th of June. And again, validate, make a payment. Even for this payment, I'll use 12th of June. Okay, now let me create another invoice with 13th of June. ARB 21. Let's use again the same salary and interest expense. Okay, validate and make the payment. Okay, now I've completed creating of two invoices, two payments. Let me run the create accounting. End date of 13th of June. While it's running, let me get into GL responsibility. For the view request, wait for the journal input of the primary ledger to be completed. Okay, let us double check. I believe I would have updated this, but let me double check. Yeah, summarized by GL period. Okay. Okay, copy this. Wait for the second ledger journal input also to be completed. Okay, let me now search for this batch. We are under summarized by GL period, wherein it should create one journal batch, two journal headers based on the journal categories. We have one for invoices, one for the payment. So for the invoices, if I open this, so as I mentioned, your GL effective date is the last fiscal day of the month, even though you have two different invoices, one for 12th of June and another for 13th of June. It is summarized as one journal and with the GL effective date is 30th of June. And again, as far as the liability account is concerned, it is summarized for two journals, sorry, two invoices. Similarly, for the payments, the accounting date is 30th of June and it has summarized. So the difference between the group by GL period and summarized by GL period, it is going to summarize for all the your liability as well as the cash accounts. Looks like as far as the invoice is concerned, it is still not summarizing. Probably the reason could be I have two different, in the description I have invoice numbers which are being populated here. Okay, so this is how you choose a different subledger to GL transfer options per application. So I have shown you per application. I have shown you this example for a payables application. Pretty much it's the same logic for the other application, whether it could be receivables or fixed assets or inventory, cost management, etc. Thank you. Thanks for watching my video. For interesting videos on Oracle Financials, please do subscribe to my channel and please do not forget to click on bell button to get the notification for my latest videos. Thank you.